Hey everyone, Matt Wakeling here. You are listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today we start a new sub-series called Iconic Albums, where I'm joined by my friends Rob Rhodes and Gabor Josiksa to talk about some of the most influential guitar records of all time. Well, at least the ones we think deserve that title. To kick us off, today's iconic album is Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien. That's coming up real soon. This episode is brought to you by The Pedal Movie, a feature-length film all about effects pedals created by the music gear marketplace Reverb. I am super excited about this film. The Pedal Movie features nearly 100 interviews with people like Steve Vai, Peter Frampton, Jay Mascis, Billy Corgan, and more, including some of our Guitar Speak podcast alumni like Dweezil Zappa, Sarah Lipstate, Johnny Barmer, and Brian Wampler. Reverb's The Pedal Movie is available now on iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu. For more information, visit www.thepedalmovie.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott. Now, Joe is not only a fantastic guitar player, he draws on his years of experience as the ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and also at the McNally Smith Music College. Here's a few words from Joe about the course.
You're tired of wading through hundreds of random guitar videos and just want to become a better player. Fretboard Biology is your answer. Fretboard Biology is a self-paced, college-level program that'll give you the right instruction, in the right amounts, and in the right order. You'll learn the same information I taught to thousands of other guitar players over 30 years of teaching in top music colleges. If you want to make real progress with your guitar playing, then sign up for a free 7-day trial at fretboardbiology.com.
All right, Rob and Gabor, welcome to Iconic Albums number 1. Woo-hoo! So good to have you guys.
Great to be here.
Fantastic to be here.
This is super exciting. So here's the story. We've each selected a couple of albums. Each episode we're going to go through one of the albums, have a chat, talk about its impact, our favourite tunes, pretty much anything about the record that's kind of interesting on a guitar and musical level. So we're going to jump in. Surfing with the Alien. That's the first album. I chose this one. It was released in 1987. It was Satriani's second album on the Relativity label. It was his third release. He had an independent release called Joe Satriani, which ironically was another album many years later. But anyway, his very first album, it was more of a demo, and he pulled that from pressing pretty quickly. So Surfing, his second release label album, and just exploded in the late 1980s. Now, I was about 16 when it came out. Just before recording, we've established that I'm a few years older than Rob and Gabor, although you wouldn't tell from our record collections, as we'll find out over these next few weeks. But any reactions? When did you guys first hear this record?
I'll go first, I guess. I think I came across Satriani first through Wide World of Sports videos, like surfing things on Sunday afternoons. And I kind of turned my head. I wasn't really into surfing, but I hadn't even started playing guitar then, but these songs sort of grabbed me, Satch Boogie especially. And and then MTV came along and they would play Always With Me, Always With You. And I guess I started playing guitar in 1990, so like Satriani was everywhere then, so you couldn't help but be exposed to it.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Gabor?
It was pretty much the same. So I started playing in 93, roughly. I think I started playing guitar. And it was, the same. I remember the Always With Me, Always With You clip on MTV. I remember hearing that, not knowing what it was, but remember hearing it. And then in high school, when I first started playing guitar, everyone else who was playing guitar, Satch Boogie, everyone wanted to learn how to play Satch Boogie. And you couldn't help but, when you're part of that whole guitar, group at school, you couldn't help but having to play it as well. So kind of learning it and trying to learn it and going, whoa, and then, oh man, and he was Kirk Hammett's guitar teacher, man, and all that, all those sort of stories that all
Yep.
came out. So that's my first memory of that.
Yeah, awesome. Man, for me, it was a couple of things. I think I saw a picture in Guitar Player magazine. It was a Relativity Records ad, I think, trying to promote the album. And the first time I heard it was on Wide World of Sports as well, same as Rob. And
Okay.
yeah, it was Wide World of Sports. They'd have like play of the day or whatever, some montage of some sport, and it would just have shredding stuff. It was awesome. It was awesome. Also, Stevie Ray Vaughan's Scuttle Button was a big Wide World of Sports riff. Killer. So anyway, I'd heard the name, and then I heard Surfing on Wide World of Sports, and I thought, I wonder if it's that Satriani guy or Satri. I didn't even know how to pronounce the name there, but I guessed it was him, and I was correct. And yeah, MTV, great timing for MTV, because MTV in Australia launched, I don't know, about 85 or 86. I'm roughly remembering. And yeah, to have instrumental guitar on MTV and on commercial radio was unbelievable. And not just the shadows, as beautiful as all that stuff is, but really contemporary, in your face, unbelievable guitar playing, pulling tricks I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, well, it was sort of the precursor to, Satriani became very popular on the radio, and as you said, MTV. Richard Wilkins used to host the late night, like Friday and Saturday night. But it opened the door for, I think maybe even Triple M might have been before, because Dr. Dan theme, which Dieter Kleeman recorded, that was huge at the time as well. And then all of a sudden it pushed Tommy Emmanuel in this country as well to the fore. And he was all over Hey, It's Saturday playing his solo guitar. So definitely wasn't just an American thing or a guitar thing. It really became, it just sort of entered into society. It was everywhere. It was a really acceptable kind of music.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Europe at the time, so I didn't move to Australia till 93. Uh-huh. So that was MTV in Europe. I remember we had the English MTV branch channels. Sort of thing. That's what we got in Austria, and it was all over that. And same. There was a lot of instrumental music sort of started coming onto, TV shows and stuff like that, which you never heard before. So yeah, it made a big impact, I think. Yeah.
Were there any guitar tricks off that record that sparked your interest and you attempted some of this stuff?
I think pick squeals and pinch harmonics. I think that was the thing that I got most out of that kind of stuff. From memory, I don't remember that, to tell you the truth. The early 90s are a little bit of a blur.
Sure.
But I think I remember trying to work out how he did those. At the time, I had a Samick, like a Super Strat style guitar with a Floyd Rose and HSS. And I remember trying to work out how to do the pick squeal and then the dive bomb with the pick squeal. And I think that came from... that's all over that album. So
yes. Yeah.
I think that was one of the things I really tried to learn and sort of learned, I guess, in the end. I'm still not really all that good at it, but I sort of learned from that.
Yeah. Unreal. How about you, Rob?
I think I was mostly in the Van Halen camp. So I was doing more his style of the pinch harmonic and like a lot of the dives, and Satch was doing a lot of the, pulling up on the trem. But I think it was probably the delay, his use of the delay within the dive bomb, which is a little bit different from what Eddie used to do. That was sort of that was a big thing. And I think his influence, as far as gear went, was pretty big too. Like the Damasio pickups were just sort of everywhere all of a sudden. He was flying the flag for those guys, and Ibanez. It really, because this was 87, I hadn't really played guitar yet. So for me, even though hearing it at that time, it wasn't until Flying in a Blue Dream that, I was playing in a band and we were doing Big Bad Moon because that was an easy one to do,
Oh,
and I think I still play the Big Bad
too.
Moon solo whenever I do Roadhouse Blues. So
perfect.
Because,
bless you.
Yeah, it's weird, but definitely it was there, but much sort of later on.
Sure. One trick I picked up because it was easy was that thing where you're tapping but using the edge of your pick and you're bouncing it off the strings really fast.
True.
Guilty.
True, yeah.
I still bust that out.
I still do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, true. Yeah, that would have come from, same here, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Hardcore musicians like Mike Dolce, I'm pretty sure he told me that he really got into legato because of that album, and he learned every song on it. Yeah, I've had a few people tell me that, and I tell them, I just get the side of the pick and do that thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. Legato was a big thing to come out of that whole Satriani thing because no one was, well, I guess people were doing it, but it wasn't mainstream. It became like the buzzword for a long time.
It did, yeah. I mean, Holdsworth was doing it, but much more of an underground level. Yeah. Van Halen.
He wasn't as mainstream.
Van Halen kind of doing his own version of legato. Like his own version of everything is very unique. I think we'll get to a Van Halen album eventually with these conversations. But
looking at the background in Rob's room, I'm sure we will. Yes.
Wait, I haven't done this for a while. Oh yeah, there we go.
There we go.
There's a picture of Eddie for you people that don't have the special glasses.
And there's the Fender EVH tribute I built as well over there.
Yeah. That's
nice.
That's it.
Nice, man. Awesome. Hey, gear, as Rob said, the gear is super iconic now. Some fun facts. Rob, you sent some stuff. I'm going to get you to share about that in a moment. But of course, Satriani's indelibly linked with Ibanez. Fun fact, though, he didn't sign the Ibanez deal until late in the process of surfing. He might have actually finished the album, and that's when he signed the Ibanez deal. Of course, once all the promo pictures come out and the live gigs, he's playing Ibanez all over everything. Those 540, the radiuses, which was super cool. They were kind of like a hot-rodded Roadster, sort of in between the Roadster and the RG, which I thought was kind of cool. But on the album, he played a couple of Kramer Pacers. Not everyone knows that. And there was a Bitzer Strat that he played. And in a Guitar World interview, I read that on the Bitzer Strat, he had lots of scratch plates with different pickups because he didn't have lots of guitars because he didn't have much money. And he would drop a new scratch plate in for different takes. That was his way around being a broke musician. Rob, did you have anything else on the Kramers?
No, I think you kind of... He had the two Pacers, but he said they're pretty terrible guitars. But yeah, I came across the same thing that you did, where he was in between takes. If he needed a Stratty guitar, he had one with 3 single coils, and he just quickly wired that in. And then he needed humbuckers, and he did that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think
it's a good idea, really.
Yeah, and he said the first one was an 84, 82, and he put together from parts that he picked up at Guitar Center. So very much that Eddie Van Halen boogie body Charvel influence. I think by that point everyone knew that he was doing that, and just people went, well, if I can't get one off the shelf that does what I want, then I'll go and put one together that does.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Was that? Did I remember reading something about that? Was there something about the cover and something to do with? Was that because he on the original cover he was gonna have a different guitar, but then he sung with Ibanez? Was that something like that? Did something like that happen? That he had to change a cover?
Oh no, that's just recently. So with the anniversary release of Surfing with an Alien, it was they couldn't back then. Marvel was nothing, so. He apparently didn't know what the Silver Surfer was. Came up with the
Marvel. That's what it was. Sorry,
came up with the idea of surfing with the alien, and had this picture of this alien in his mind, not even knowing that it was the Silver Surfer, a Marvel Silver Surfer. But they got permission to use it. But then recently, obviously, Marvel's blown up as this huge franchise, and it was just ridiculously expensive for him to be able to get the licensing for that image. So he put the Ibanez on the cover of the latest anniversary release.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember he had to put the Ibanez guitar on there, but I wasn't sure why. That's right.
Yeah. So if you've got one of the first covers, it's a limited edition. Like there's only been about 20 squillion copies sold, and you've got one of the originals.
The last copy of that I bought was at the local music shop in Mawulumbar. They had it on CD for $5, and I didn't have it anymore because I had it on cassette. And
Awesome.
Because we're old
Yeah.
kids. We're old.
but you don't think about it now. You're like, it comes out and it's on Spotify. People might know this or not, but the latest release of that anniversary, you've got a second record that has all the guitar removed, so you can jam along with the basic tracks.
No way!
Yeah.
No way.
So it's a deluxe edition of the reissue. Yeah.
You can feel
You can
inadequate.
sit there and yeah, he's remixed all that. So that's pretty cool.
That is
That's
very
awesome.
cool, actually, yeah.
That's awesome. We're going to take a very short break and we'll be back with more Satriani talk. I hope you are enjoying today's interview. Now, this podcast is brought to you by The Pedal Movie, a feature-length film all about effects pedals created by the music gear marketplace Reverb. Now, you know we love guitar pedals here on the Guitar Speak podcast, and we're super excited on the release of this film. The Pedal Movie explores how effects pedals and their builders have shaped modern music and guitar playing over time, from the fuzz pedal experiments of the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix through the shoegaze and indie rock of the 90s and up to the modern day use of effects. Reverb also speaks with builders and leaders from more than 50 pedal brands to answer the big question, how did guitar pedals get so big? Reverb's The Pedal Movie is available now on iTunes, Google Play and Vudu. For more info, check out thepedalmovie.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by master guitar teacher Joe Elliott. Now, I was a beta tester for the course, and as a music educator myself, I was very impressed by the logical layout and format of the course. Heavyweight guitarists such as Brett Garsed and Greg Koch have also endorsed the program, so check it out at www.fretboardbiology.com. Okay, back to our interview. All right, welcome back. We are talking Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien. I'm here with Rob Rhodes. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how you going, Matt?
I'm with Gabor. Hey.
Hello.
I thought I should introduce you guys. I didn't do it at the start, but so people can get an audio to name recognition going. I don't know. Anyway, there you are.
We'll fix that.
The
We'll
idea
fix
was
that in
good.
post.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no probs. Now, we've been talking guitars. Now, the amps and effects were super lo-fi, even for the 80s. In fact, for the late 80s, you think Satch would have a huge rig. But again, this is early on in his career, and this album is yet to absolutely go nuts. So again, from the Guitar World interview I read, he was running an early 70s Marshall 959 Super Lead, 100-watt head, and a quad box. For effects, a Crybaby wah, of course. There's wah all over the record. Sounds amazing. A Chandler tube driver was his main drive.
Oh, wow.
And an Eventide H949 for some detuning. And I guess maybe some of the chorusing sounds that we hear, unless they were done in post. Yeah. Any favourite tones on the record? Gabor?
Well, I sort of, before we started, I sort of mentioned to the other guys that I'm going to be the black sheep, the odd one out in this, because I was never a massive fan of a lot of these albums that Matt and Rob are talking about. So I hadn't actually listened to this album in ages, and I kind of thought, when I first listened to it, I thought I'm going to write down the one track that stood out the most to me. And the one track that for whatever ever stood out the most to me was If I Could Fly. And my reasoning for that was, and I just sort of wrote down notes, because it sounds very different to all the other tracks. So that's my standout track, If I Could Fly. And
awesome.
I
You
I
are
like
the black
sound of the
sheep.
guitar in the intro.
Yeah. I think we've worked out why Gabor is the black sheep.
Because
If I Could Fly was not on that album.
It's not on that album.
Is that not on the album? It's on Spotify on the album, isn't it?
Yeah, but If
Oh,
I
it
Could
might
Fly
be
is on, off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to get it. But
Well, Well, Spotify lied to me then, people. Okay, well then that's why it sounded so different, because it
It was recorded 20 years later. But still.
Oh, was it really? Oh, okay. Whoops.
That was
okay.
Oh,
All right.
maybe
that
not
was the
that
song
long,
he
not that
sued
long.
Coldplay for. Or
Yeah,
they
yeah.
settled
Really?
out of court, and no one said anything about it. But yeah,
So on Spotify, I'm sure it played it on that album, unless it just went to some other playlist or something.
yeah, it must have.
Man,
It's
I'm
on
happy you
Is
heard
There
it. It's
Love
a
in
killer
Space?
song.
I think it's on that record.
Okay. Well,
That's
then I
it.
apologize
That's
for that.
It is.
I always liked. Okay, getting back to the album then. I liked a lot of the as cheesy and 80s as they sound. A lot of the synth sounds.
Okay. Yep.
I actually like almost better than the guitar sound. A lot of the intros, like that sort of sitari kind of sound, which is a synthesizer.
I think he used a electric
Did he use
sitar,
a
the Dan Electro.
Did he use it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like that sound. That's just a.
Okay.
I think when I saw him live at was it 3G, G3, whatever they're called, with him and Vi and John Petrucci at the time. That was the concert. It was the keyboard player played it. So that's why I thought it was maybe keyboard on the record too. But I like that sound. I like odd sounds. See, there you go. I'm the odd one out.
No,
yet
that's
again.
cool.
That track is on the album, Gabor. That's Lords of Karma you're talking about. It is on the record. Or Lords of Kramer. I don't know. I maybe. All right. Awesome, man.
Whatever that track was, yeah.
Yeah. Rob, favorite track?
Oh, look, it's hard for me to go past Satch Boogie because I was such a big ZZ Top and Van Halen fan, and that sits right in that wheelhouse, like the shuffle, the boogie groove, and it just screams along at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's just, it's beautiful, and I don't know. It's hard to go past that one. Crushing Day is another one that it's like that, but Satch Boogie's the one that I think that it got better over the years, because we talk about tones. I wasn't a real big fan of Satch's tone on this record, and I still, when you listen to the live records that have been subsequent to this, like the Time Machine and Live in San Francisco and those ones, it's hard. Like he turned me around on The Extremist. I really wanted to listen to his records on him because the guitar, he got the guitar right. In my opinion, it was just a cranked Marshall, plugged straight in, and on his self-titled record too, which is a lot more, rootsy. So it is difficult for me to. It's a difficult listen at times with the tone that he's got on this record, but I also understand that it was for the time,
That's actually one of the other things I wrote down in my first impressions. Very 80s sounding.
But it's like, to digress and go a little bit away, it's the same thing. As big a Nuno fan as I am, those first two records, it's the tone is difficult to listen to because they were into those, it was just thin and processed and not really my bag, but amazing. No, I don't think anyone could have played with those tones outside of Satch.
Yeah, it is interesting. They are pretty bright, and touring, he used the Boss DS1 for years, which sort of makes sense, even if that wasn't on the record. Hey, with the album, interesting, his budget was $13,000, which for a late 80s record, it was nothing. It was lunch for, for Elton John. But
it's a lot for today's standards.
Yes, and for an independent guitar shredder in 87, probably a lot then too. But anyway, the only track with live drums is Satch Boogie. The rest of it's all programmed drums, which I think for me means I kind of like some of these tracks on the live albums a bit better as well, just because there's more interaction with the band. And by Flying in the Blue Dream, he's obviously got a live band on there. Stu Ham's playing bass on that record. By The Extremist, he's got the Bissonette Brothers. Man, killer rhythm section. So that's why I love that record as well as, the tones are perhaps becoming a little more organic maybe. But, my favourite tracks, I've got two I love. I always go back to, it's Echo, which is the last song. That's the 5/4 one at the end. The tone on that.
That's a cool track. Yeah, that's a cool song too, actually. That was one of my favourite ones too, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I think the tone on that's beautiful. It's so dynamic. He backs off, he leans into it. And circles, I love. It's got the really cool open chords on the front, shreds in the middle, back to the open chords. Done.
Lovely.
Hey, I put a post out on Facebook and Instagram asking people for their favourite Satch tunes. And I'm going to do a few shout-outs really, really quick. So, and we'll see. Any predictions from you guys?
If it's just in general or off this record?
Always with me, always with
Off
you.
this
probably.
record.
Yeah, it's going to be
Just off this
always,
record.
for sure.
All right, awesome. So here we go. We'll go from some order. Echo, 2 people. Rob Balducci. Rob Balducci's on Steve Vai's label, by the way. He likes Echo. Steve Kemsley, great drummer friend of mine, introduced me to Odd Time. He likes the 5/4 song, of course. Hill of the Skull, no votes. Although I like it. It sounds like it's from Conan the Barbarian or something. Circle, 2 votes. Nick Wolf. And Mark McPherson. Lords of Karma, no votes, although Gabor likes the sitar. Midnight, Joseph Tabua, 1 vote there. Surfing, 2 votes. Lee Alexander, Joe Salas. Ice 9, 3 votes. James Cole, Jamie Mercer, Simon Rafalo. Rafalo can play Flying in a Blue Dream, by the way. Crushing Day, Joe Salas, Tim Bennett. Now, the final 2, you guys are right. It's between Always and Satch Boogie. I actually have to count them. Maybe I could have done this before we recorded.
This is
No,
more
that would have
organic
been-
this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool, man. All right. Always with you. 10 votes. Nate Stewart, Mick Stewart, no relation. Glenn Kingsley, Adam Roach, Warren Riley, Jem Magtabay, Maddie Hakim, Chris Kamzalis, Trevor Court, Grant Rennie, and then Satch Boogie, 11 votes. The Guitaring Show guys. Shout out to them. Bilgola Guitars, Cameron Henderson. Oh, I've got to tell you about Cameron Henderson. Glenn Kingsley, James Cole, Warren Riley, Jem Magtabay, Steve McPherson, Jason King, Stevie Taylor, Gig Life
Hey,
Podcast.
Stevie.
G'day, Stevie. And
Hey,
Joseph
man.
Tabua also on that one. So Satch was the winner from my impromptu.
People want to dance, man. It's all about the dancing, I'm telling you.
They want to dance. They don't want the 5/4. It's too
I'm
confusing.
going to dance to that.
Hey, a few more shout outs. People who couldn't pick a favourite or just loved every song. We had Rob Greenup, Scotty Burford, Chris Churchwood, Chris Kemzalis, Gavin Moore, Cameron Jones, Brad Carroll, and Mel Bolden just said she had great memories of the record. Hey, last thing to wrap up the show. Did I tell you guys when I teched for Satriani?
No.
I teched for Satriani probably about
Wow.
10 years ago. I've seen him 3 times. So first time was his first tour. Last time I think was his last tour here 2 years ago or so in Canberra. About 10 years ago I teched for Canberra on the Thump Music clinic tour. So he's out doing clinic tours for Thump Music Australia, and a friend of mine, Daniel Singh, put the shout out, does anyone want to work on this show tonight? I'm like, yeah, man. So I get in there. That's where I meet Cameron Henderson, who's a killer guitar player. So shout out to Cameron. And I got to be Joe's Sharpie technician during the meet and greet signing stage.
Sharpie technician, I like that.
Yeah. There was this lineup of like 1 million people, and you had to be good because people would come. I had a handful of Sharpies, different colours, and if someone had like their Chrome Dome Satriani guitar, well, you need like a black Sharpie on that. But if someone had brought, I don't know, the Satriani pedal, the saturator, the Vox pedal, well, you need a black Sharpie for that. So I was working that, and me and all my friends that I'd met that night, we were so starstruck, we took turns being the Sharpie technician.
Wow. I have a very similar story to that, Matt.
Come on, man.
I worked at Allen's in Pitt Street for a little while and in the admin team. And he did an in-store. And I somehow got out of my admin role and ended up as a security guard. And I ended up being Joe's private security for the day. And I didn't do the Sharpie, but I did all the fan photos. So if someone wanted a photo, I had them get their phone or their camera ready, their Hanamex or their whatever else they had back then.
Yes.
And
Yes.
terrible Motorola flip phones or whatever. And I would go, right, I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to take the photo. I'm going to hand you your phone and then you're out of here. You know, if you got something to sign, we'll do that as well. And then amazingly, thanks to Andre, I then got out of my work for the rest of the day, got to hang up upstairs while he signed all of the Ibanez's he was doing for Allen's at the time. So he had all the JS lined out, and basically got to talk to him for about 20 minutes. And
wow, man,
and you'll never guess what question. I really only asked him one question, and it was about strings. Like, how nerdy is that? Because I just wanted to know if what I worked out over the years of playing nowhere near his standard, that if I was right about strings. And he was a Diodario endorsee, he always has been. And we basically had the same kind of stories about Diodario, that we've gone off and tried other things and then always come back to Diodarios. And he's obviously tested them a lot more than I have, but maybe recently I've tested them more. I'm not sure, but
okay.
But it was a great day, and I got my Live in San Francisco DVD signed, and
awesome.
It was a great day, that one. So yeah, we got that in common, Matt.
Nice. There you go. There you go.
I saw him in a hallway once.
Whoa, still good.
Yeah, that was it. That's it. That's my story.
Just as valid, man. Just as valid.
You are the black sheep.
But I was hanging out with Steve Vai at the time, so there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Fellas, thanks for joining us. It's been a fun night. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien, iconic album number 1.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I get one song wrong, but that's okay.
Come back next week. All right, there you go. Iconic albums number 1. Now listen, if we missed something that you think is super important about surfing, or any other comments you want to make about the record, shoot me a line through email or Facebook or Instagram, and it'd be nice to make mention of that in a future episode. My great thanks to Rob and Gabor for joining me. Thanks to everyone who joined in on the Facebook conversation that we spoke about earlier. And also, this show has been brought to you by Reverb's The Pedal Movie, out now, and Fretboard Biology, the online guitar course. Check out the links in our show notes. All right, my name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, and as Michael Schenker once told me, keep on rocking. See you next time.